We've had a recent Court of Appeals ruling, the North Carolina Court of Appeals. Tell us what the court decided.
Well, the court decided, as I expected them to do, that the heirs of people, of eugenics victims who died before the cutoff date would not be eligible. Their argument was that, well, let me back up and say that the point of an important element of the law was that it limited compensation to people who were, eugenics victims who were alive on a certain date. And the reason they did this was because, well, lots of reasons, but the main one was that they wanted to help people who were still alive who'd been harmed. Now, because there was going to be a gap in time between when the law was passed and when compensation could actually be paid, because there was the law had to be implemented, people had to apply, decisions had to be made, and so on, there was a concern about people who were living victims at the time of passage but might die in the interim. So the law also stated that for them there would be a vested interest in the compensation amount, whatever it turned out to be, and that could go to the heirs. This was the argument, or this was what concerned the heirs of people who died before the cutoff date. They said, why shouldn't we get a share of the compensation if the heirs of people who were alive at the time the legislation was passed but died before the compensation was paid got a share? That was the equal protection argument. They said, we're the same, we should be treated equally. But the Court of Appeals didn't agree. They said they're not the same, and in any case, the relevant comparison isn't between the heirs of people who died before the cutoff date and the heirs of people who died after the cutoff date. The compensation program was about living victims, and equal protection doesn't mean that the heirs of one group should be treated equally with the actual living victims